We're going to hell. Is this a joke? Why does everyone think that this is fine?
Most women are frustrated right now. Hey, welcome to another video. If you're wondering why I'm wearing the same outfit you've seen recently, maybe this will go up first, who knows? It is because I am batch recording today. I recorded a bookshelf tour and I recorded a haul and I don't want to change my clothes, so here we are. Anyway, this is the start of a new vlog. My name is Alicia from Alicia Runs and Reads. If you did not know, that is me, that is me, that is me. This is gonna be an episode of Ready, Set, Net where I read as many NetGalleys as I can get to before the next month where they will be coming out. For this month, I will be reading I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy. Actually, I don't know all the authors of these, but I will put them here. I'll put the covers up. I'll be reading Honey. I will be reading But Won't I Miss Me? Accumulation, Bone of My Bones, I think, double check. Bone of My Bone, which is by Joanna Van Veen. I know that one. Those are the books I will be reading in this vlog. I've already started I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy that has Rest Stop in it, which was his novella that came out a while ago. And I had previously read that, but I reread that and then I read the first several stories and I'm enjoying that so far. Many of the stories I've given 4 and 5 stars. There's been a couple 3s in there. There's only been one that's been 2 or lower. So I'm really enjoying that so far. Let me tell you about some of the stories. So Rest Stop is about a guy who gets stuck in a bathroom at a rest stop and there's like bugs and things that start coming out of the vents and then there's a creepy serial killer guy. And I like that one, but I didn't love it. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. And then yeah, 3.5 stars. There's a story called Meet Cute, which was my least favorite so far that I have read. Generation was a 5 star. I really like that one. Everyone who is pregnant starts giving birth to these creatures, and it's about a woman going into a center trying to decide if she wants to terminate the pregnancy or not, and they give her information about what's going on, and it's interesting. I'd read a whole novel about that. I love that one. I gave it 5 stars. I read Nice, which is a Christmas short story, sort of, and it was weird. I mean, all these are weird. It's Nat Cassidy and it's horror, but I liked that one, but I didn't love that one. It made me laugh, so there was that. The Art of What You Want, I gave 4 stars. I'm trying to remember what that was about. Oh, yeah, that one was disturbing. It's about this guy who's like seeing and hearing from his wife that has passed on. But then it takes like a crazy unhinged kind of turn, but it was fun. I gave it 4. And then The Lunar Eclipse, I gave 5 stars. That one was like, it made me think, and I read it twice, like back to back. I was like, all right, let me go back and reread that one again. And then Laugh Lines, I thought was wild. I really liked that one. I'd read a whole book from that story. I wanted more of it, but I did give it 5 stars. So I'm about halfway through that one. And I will let you know when I have more thoughts. I finished I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy. I think I'm gonna give this a 4. There were some of the stories I really liked. I gave 5 stars, and there of course were other ones that I didn't really jive with that I gave 2.5 stars. But for the most part, I did enjoy most of these stories, so I think I'm going to give it 4. I have enjoyed all of Nat Cassidy's other works. I would say my favorite is Mary, and then followed by When the Wolf Comes Home, and then Nestlings is probably my least favorite, but at the time I was having really bad anxiety and the topics in that one weren't helping. So that might be why, if I had read it at a different time, I think I might have enjoyed it more, but it wasn't bad. I still liked it. And I think I gave like Rest Stop 3.5. So Rest Stop is included in here. So I don't know if
if I'm gonna pick up a physical copy of this, but there were some stories I really liked. I think my favorites were Laugh Lines and Catacombs was my favorite, and then also Generation, which I think I talked about, and then the Lunar Eclipse I also really enjoyed. I gave 5 stars. Several others I gave 4. I don't know. It's hard to talk about short stories because it's like you can't really say much about what the story is because it's a short story. You're just gonna give it all away. But I really like the Lunar Eclipse one. I like what it did. Laugh Lines, I think, was super creepy. It's about this girl who discovers who her father is based on some gene send-away kit thing. And it turns out that his family used to have like lordship in some town in England. So she goes there to learn about her heritage, goes into the castle, and some creepy stuff happens. And I really enjoyed that one. That one and Generation, I feel like I could read like a whole book from. So I really enjoyed those 2. And now I'm going to move on to reading another one that's coming out the same day, beginning of May. I'm going to start But Won't You Miss Me? Won't I Miss Me? And I don't really remember. This I think is dystopian. I can't remember exactly, but I will let you know when I remember and when I have something to say. Okay, so I don't know about dystopian, but this is set in an alternate reality where women, after they give birth, they get exceptional powers, but also when they give birth, they also create, I mean, I haven't gotten there yet, so this is just from the synopsis. They create a identical duplicate of themselves, and then they eat the previous version of yourself, and then they get all these powers or strength or something. I don't know. This is weird. I've just started it. That's interesting, and I don't know what to expect. I'm going to this pretty blind, and I think that's probably the best way to go, but I've heard good things about this, so I will continue on. I'm only like a couple pages into it, but I thought I would come on and tell you sort of more about what this is about now that I reread the synopsis. There's a lot more in the synopsis too, but I don't want to say too much or read that too closely because I want to be surprised. I am 23% of the way through But Won't I Miss Me? I don't know if I clearly stated what this was about before, so I'm just going to go over it again. This is about an alternative reality where women, when they're pregnant, they give birth, but they also give to the baby, but then they also give birth to a doppelganger or another newer version of themselves, and then that newer version of themselves eats the old version, but they have all the memories and they look exactly the same as their previous self. So that's what happens in this world. Also in this world, there is some sort of energy internet crisis where if you go over a certain amount, expending a certain amount of energy in your household, you have to pay exorbitant fees. And so there's the reality of women and men, you know, the people who have more money are able to just like live willy-nilly and do whatever they need to do. And women that don't, people that don't have a lot of money, you know, they might not have heat in their house. You know, they might not be able to get access to the internet or TV or etc. So that's also happening. And the whole giving birth, what do they call it? Rebirth, the whole rebirth process. They don't really talk about it that much. It's pretty much like the basics of it. And then people kind of ignore it. They're like, oh, it's a positive thing. Like the new you is strong. And when the baby's newly born, it does sleep. Like they talk about a woman picking up a refrigerator with one hand. They're stronger and more interested in household activities, etc. I don't want to talk to you much about how this happens, right? Like, how do you birth a new, better version of yourself? Because you can discover that yourself. But I just read a part where she watches a video of it happening and I'm like, yikes, gruesome. Against her better judgment, she is pregnant and she goes on and watches this rebirth process, which they always say, you know, when an actual person is pregnant, they're like, don't do research, don't look into it because you're just going to scare yourself. And people don't talk about how gruesome birth can be, etc. I think that's less so now because we have the internet and things. But it definitely was a big part of the past where it's just like pregnancy is just wonderful and glorious and beautiful and babies and little feet and little fingers and cuteness. And people didn't talk as much about the hardships of being pregnant and the sacrifices you're making personally and through your body, etc. And I'm also assuming it has a lot to say about when the transformative nature of becoming a mother, and how not everyone feels that, and how when you're becoming a mom, you're known as a mom foremost, and instead of just being known as your authentic self and who you were previous to becoming a mom. I am a mom. If you didn't know, I have 2 kids. They're almost 15 and almost 12. And I always wanted to be a mom. Like that was something that was always something that I wanted to do. It didn't matter how gruesome you showed me, I would have wanted to still do it. I just wanted to be a mom. It's not the case for everybody, but it was for me. And I will say that giving birth was very transformative for me. I remember feeling strong and powerful and like I could take on the world. Sort of like these new moms in this book. However, not everybody is like that. Like there's people who give birth and didn't want to be a parent and they were forced to, or women that give birth and have postpartum depression and they're struggling, because it is not all puppies and rainbows. Like I had an incredible experience with childbirth and newborn stages. Not that it was a walk in the park. We're not going to go into that, but it was still childbirth. It was still hard, but I was not traumatized by that experience at all, which there are women who are traumatized by that experience. There are women who have horrible experiences being pregnant and giving birth and postpartum. And I think that this book has a lot to say about that. As our main character we're following, she, in 2 timelines, one where she's pregnant and then the other where her baby is 2 years old, and she's talking about the experiences that she's had, because we know from the synopsis that her rebirth doesn't go as planned, and she doesn't get all this like superhuman power after, and things didn't go the way that everyone was expecting, I guess, and she just wasn't living up to what societal expectations are for these new superhuman moms. I don't know. We don't know anything about that yet, but I am finding this interesting. And she's also something called a hobbler, she is an electrician, but she fixes old things because people can't afford new things. But then there's like these new sort of technology that everyone's starting to buy. So her job is becoming like insignificant or whatever. And also women, I don't think, can work after they have a kid. So once they have a child, they can't work until that child goes to school. So I guess, yeah, we're learning more about the world and this reality, and I am interested in it. I made it to 54% into But Won't I Miss Me, and we're having a switch, and I don't want to tell you what that is because I don't want to spoil anything, but I am intrigued by what's happening next. It was definitely something I was not expecting or even considering as a possibility, so I am intrigued. I enjoyed the first 50% quite a bit. The premise is very intriguing. I just wish we got more of that creepy, gross, new mom eating old body grossness. I know that's not really the point of this. We're getting a lot more other new moms being judgmental because she can't live up to what she should be doing, and her being deeply depressed and talking about going into machine mode where nothing is real and she doesn't care about anyone's feelings or her own, and she just kind of feels like she's operating through an operator's window looking out onto her life and dissociating and things. But at the same time, people making her feel guilty because she isn't doing what she could do to solve the problem, even though what she has to do to solve the problem is incredibly unfair. And she's thinking about, that whole thing, like, but won't I miss me, right? Like, she has all the memories of her pre-rebirth self, but technically she's not that person, but she doesn't have any memory of that transition. So people are like, well, what's the big deal? Why do you care? You don't remember it. For all intents and purposes, like, you are that person. You just were reborn, like when a snake sheds its skin and eats its skin afterward or whatever. So a lot of interesting things to talk about. I will say some of the mom stuff I'm getting tired of. I don't know, maybe just because I've been through it and I just don't feel like I need that much written about the struggles of having a toddler and things like that. I think it might be necessary, but for me, I just didn't need that much of it. And also we're talking about her and her uncle, not really related, I don't think, her uncle that helped get her into hobbying or hobbling or whatever they call it, this small electric business where they're fixing small appliances and getting them onto whatever new system of electricity is being used now. And they're talking about that relationship and how he was like a father to her, and then about electricity and like, I don't know. That part's just not interesting to me. I don't really understand why included. Maybe that's coming. I don't know. Yeah. My only thought so far is I feel like this could be shorter. I don't know how long it is. I'm sort of feeling like this would do better as a novella or short story, and it would pack more of a punch. Like, I want to know more about these super moms with superpowers for 5 years when they just have a child and how that's affecting society. But I guess in this alternative reality, this is all it's ever been like. So everyone's like, this isn't a big deal. This is just the way life is. Like, it's a blessing. You know, you have a kid and you get all this energy and a new, better version of yourself. But our main character's like, no, that's terrifying. And she keeps thinking like, is this a joke? Why does everyone think that this is fine? 320 pages, so it's not exorbitantly long, but I just feel like for what it is, I feel like maybe it didn't need to be this long. However, now that I've gotten this very unexpected second part, maybe I'll feel differently when I'm done. I look like a hot mess today. I apologize. I have no energy. I feel like I had so much energy last week when the sun was out. No, it's gone down the poop. Gone down the toilet, because last night I fell asleep at like before 9 o'clock on the couch while I was trying to read and my husband was reading, and I just fell asleep, and I was completely asleep in bed before 9 o'clock. I don't know what's going on. And then I took a nap today because I got sleepy. I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe I need some rebirth. Maybe it's just reading about these early parenthood days when you're in the weeds and everything just seems hard. Very relatable, but I don't think I need to read about it this much. And then there's also characters who are like, just be grateful you have a child. Go do what you need to do to get better. And her sister is thinking the same thing. Like, I have 3 kids. I've done this 3 times. Like, knock it off. Like, you're putting more pressure and more stress on the family. Ugh. Yeah. I could definitely see how the parallels between this idea and, I mean, obviously it's obvious that's what they want you to like be thinking about, is like postpartum depression and just like the pressures that society puts on young mothers and mothers in general. As I look at the pictures of my bebas on the mental, and now they're teenagers and they don't care about me. So an update for you: I finished But Won't You Miss Me. This is the color cover. And I'm going to end up giving it a low 3, high 2, 2.75, something around there. I'm about to go run. That's why I have my goofy hat on. Anyway, and the reason for this is I really loved the concept. And I thought the talk of motherhood and how it changes you and societal expectations, etc., were really good. However, I have my bra here. You don't need to see that. I thought the execution was lacking for me. It was like, it would be like, oh, this is cool. I like this. I like where this is going. This is icky. Ooh, this is surprising and thrilling, whatever. But then it would be bogged down by all these long interludes of things having to do with her electrician job, or things having to do with the world as a whole, or replaying things that had already been discussed, but we're going through it maybe in another person's perspective in a different way. And I just thought it was really bogged down by that. Like, there were some times where I was like, I don't care. And I thought the writing just wasn't, like, it was good, but it just, for some reason, the topics that were being discussed in parts of it, I just wasn't interested in. I thought a lot of it could be cut out. I thought it was very bogged down in some parts. Yeah, it was like 300 and something pages, but I felt like it would be much better served as a novella. It explains a lot to the reader, which I feel like I don't really like that. I like when I'm a writer and author trusts me to pick up what they're putting down, you know? And yeah, so ended up landing on a 2.75. I could have DNF'd like at some points. Like, I was getting really aggravated, but at the same time, it was interesting enough and I was intrigued enough to finish it. So I would still recommend people check it out. I think some people will like it way more than I did. And it definitely is an interesting concept, right? So I would have liked to have seen more of like, it's interesting because in this world, this has always been the case, right? That women give birth and then they also give birth to another doppelganger of themselves, and then that doppelganger eats you, and then that one takes your place but has all your memories and you don't remember it, so it's like it never happened, it's not painful, whatever, but they can go wrong. And I would have just looked, I wanted more of that stuff, more women maybe that weren't on board for this. I don't know. So yeah, I landed on a low 3, high 2 for my review, and I did write a review for Goodreads if you want to check it out. Also, I started Honey by Imani Thompson, and this is written by a Black woman, and she is in England. It's an unhinged woman's story, woman killing men, that bugger. I think that's pretty much the gist of it. But the writing style, and that could either work or not work depending on the writing style and how I feel about things and whatever. So, but I'm enjoying the writing style so far. It's very curt. It's like very punchy and direct. It is going from, like, there's this one point where she's swimming, and then while she's swimming, so it'll say like 100 or like lap 32, whatever pace, and she's thinking about swimming, but then her mind will drift off to thinking about this time where she met this man, but then while she's thinking about this man, her mind will drift off to thinking about her grandmother. So there is quite a bit of like stream of consciousness, but it doesn't come off as just stream of consciousness because it's not all the time, but it does jump around a bit in her, like her way. It's like as she's thinking. So I guess, yeah, stream of consciousness. So it took me a little bit to get used to it. Anytime a writer writes like that, it does take me a little bit to get used to it, but I'm liking the punchiness of it so far. It's very direct and to the point. There's some academic stuff in there because of she's in academia. She's trying to get her doctorate. We haven't gotten much about what her past is like or what maybe has brought her to do these things. Maybe it's just frustration with academia and the misogyny within it. I don't know, but I'm liking it so far. I don't think we're meant to like her at all. So we'll see if other than maybe her punchy quippiness, but I don't know. We haven't seen a ton of that yet, so we'll see how I feel about it. But I'm only 20% of the way in. I'm going to go run. I don't have any of these on audio, so I'll be listening to something else right now. I'm just listening to Northwoods for Allie's from Allie Do Is Read Patreon book club. It's a good pick for Earth Day, which was yesterday. So I should be able to finish that one up today. I'm enjoying that one. But you'll see a review for that in my April wrap up. So after this, after I finish Honey, I have Accumulation. I have Bone of My Bone. I think those are the only 3 I have left, I hope. I go run, and then I have to go to the grocery store and pick up stuff to start because my kids asked for barbecue chicken, and I usually do that in the crock pot, so it's like pulled chicken when it's done. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, look at this loaf. It is so loafy.
Yes, you're just my loaf. My little.
My puppicle loaf is perfect. He's so cute. I'm so cute. He's so cute. He's so cute. He's so cute.
I'm about to go and run, but I thought I'd give you a quick update on Honey. I'm still enjoying this. I'm 60% of the way through now. Sometimes books like this where it's like good for her, girl killing men, etc. I like them, but sometimes, I don't know, you've read one? Have you read them all? So they have to give you a little something more interesting. And I do think this one does, so far at least. She has an interesting relationship with her mother. We don't really know exactly what's going on there. Something definitely happened with her when she was young. She discovered something or she did something. I don't know. There's interesting stuff going on with her grandmother. Her mother left her with her grandmother a lot. There seems to be some sort of generational, hereditary something going on that we don't know what that is yet. I love her dad. Her dad's seems like a super sweet guy. So that's interesting. And we're also seeing something that maybe happened. We don't know what happened with her, I think, high school boyfriend. Sixth form is high school, right? I mean, I don't know. British grades confuse me. So that's an interesting thing. And her mom's kind of pushing him back onto her. And we don't know what happened with him. So I am finding this interesting. There's interesting kills. There's interesting intimate stuff going on. But I am really liking this so far. The author is of, I think, British, Irish, or Scottish, I'm not sure, Jamaican descent, I believe. I'll have to double check. And the character in this book also has some Jamaican descent as well, but grew up in Britain, and she goes to Cambridge. So she is studying theses for her PhD, studying slaves and the abuse of slave owners onto slave women. You know, there's some academic speak in here, which I'm actually kind of enjoying. So I would think this is more than just a good for her type of story. I'm enjoying the little bit more depth that we are getting. The writing style is a little bit interesting, different, but I'm enjoying it. I like it. It's keeping me attached to the writing, as I really do have to think about it. I mean, it's not difficult to understand, but she does jump around a bit. So you have to kind of follow that thread, and I'm enjoying having to do that. I am at a lake that is close to my house. It's about 10-15 minutes from my house. So I don't come here that often because just an extra 10-15 minutes that I have to spend driving. So, but I thought I would do it today. It's exactly 4 miles all the way around. I am currently listening to, what am I listening to? Oh, Best Offer Wins. Talk about unhinged women. You'll hear about that in my monthly wrap up, unless I just give you a quick review here. But yeah, I'm liking that one, and that should entertain me on my run, and I should finish it on my run or before my run ends. So that'll be me today. I had to go take my husband's car to the mechanic to get an oil change. So that's why, I mean, you probably don't even notice, but I'm in my husband's car instead of my own. I got my goofy shirt on, and I'm a little overdressed. So I'm starting off at a deficit today. I'm a little overdressed. I'll probably end up taking this off. I don't care. I'll just run on my sports bra. I forgot my running belt. So I'm going to have to hold on to my phone or tuck it into my bra. We're just going to make the best of it. It's a nice day out. It's in the 50s today. Things are starting to bloom. Trees are still pretty brown. We're making progress. It's just not very warm, but that's okay. I have that one. It's very full. I didn't bring anything. I was thinking about bringing something. Nothing good. Hello. I'm in my car. It is Sunday morning. I'm going to pick up my daughter from a sleepover. She had fun with friends last night. They went ice skating, had a birthday party for her friend Emily, and then they slept over her house. So I think she had a fun time. I did finish, what did I finish? Oh, that book, what did I finish? Now my brain is completely turned off. Oh, I did finish Honey, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I thought it was good. I think the tone is gonna throw some people off. It is not really a humorous, good for her type of book. She is in academia. She is at Cambridge in England, and she is studying Afro-pessimism, I think. And that is kind of wrapped up in some of the things that she is doing. But then there's also a generational trauma / proclivity aspect to it. I enjoyed the part that they talked about her family and their past and her mom's past, and the history of her family. I enjoyed the parts where it kind of wrapped up the academics and research part into it. And I actually really liked it. I liked it. I didn't like her, we weren't supposed to, but I did actually end up really liking that it was a bit different, a bit more serious. The tone is definitely a bit more serious than something like A Good Person, or they're not the same, but I would say A Certain Hunger, well, it did have humor in it. It was more serious than something like, I don't know, another similar, like A Good Person, or what's another one that I've read recently, with, you know, women doing not so great things. But I would say, yeah, totally, this is much more serious, but I did really end up enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. I am now reading Accumulation. I am 30 or 40% into Accumulation now. This is about a family. The mom's name is Tennessee and the dad's name is, I don't know, Wade or some crap, and I can't remember, Wes. Not that it really matters. I remember the husband's name, Ward. The husband's name is Ward, so just, you know, interesting. Accumulation, this is the cover that you probably can't see, but I will put it up here on the screen because it is a really nice cover, by Amy Poquata, and her name is Ten. Her mom and dad named her Tennessee. She's had some mental health struggles, some struggles with migraines and medications and things. And she was a filmmaker, but she had kids and stuff and stopped doing that for now. She's trying to get back into it. They move into this house that's really old and weird and, you know, has had a lot of additions put onto it. So it makes the layout really weird. And then the first day they find a doll that's creepy, and then they make a joke with each other to hide it throughout the house. They have 2 kids. They're really frustrated. She's really frustrated with the fact that she can't, you know, go back to her career because he makes a lot more money than her. And so it's more important than her, and she is always the one who's relied on to, you know, get all the stuff with the kids set up and, you know, do the cooking and the cleaning and the mental load of everyone's schedules and all the kids and the doctor's appointments and the sick days and everything. So she's frustrated with that, but then at the same time there's creepy stuff happening in this house. And from what we've seen, the creepy stuff seems actually creepy and not just her in her mind. I mean, we've had other people witness this as well. And yeah, just overall creepiness. And I don't know, you know, what accumulation is for yet, but I'm starting to think it's like just the accumulation of shit that's being placed on her plate. And I'm sure maybe everything will come to a head at some point. But I'm liking this so far. It's fine. Not disliking it. I'm not loving it yet, but I'm only 30% in. It'll definitely depend on where this is going. But as far as books that are similar to this, I'm not liking it or disliking it any more than, you know, the others. They're kind of on par with them, so I can't knock it down for that. But it's just, there definitely have been some similar things that I have read recently. Frustrated moms and women are just par for the course at the moment. I think most women are frustrated right now. Anyways, yes, I am rambling now. I have to go get my daughter. I'm hoping to finish this today, but my energy levels have been in the gutter lately. Last week I was like in a good place energy level wise, and today not so good. I did go on a hike yesterday, so I'll insert some video from that. It was chilly out, but nice hiking weather, and it was really nice to get out with my friend who I don't see as often as I'd like. So anyway, check back in with you guys. Outside again reading. It's nice out today. It's in the 60s and sunny now that it's the afternoon. Had to take Barb to the vet this morning because she seems to be having some issues with her hips, She went to jump up on the bed the other day and kind of fell off, like she missed the bed. And she's been a little off ever since, and we wanted to make sure it wasn't Lyme and get her some anti-inflammatories if it was her hips. And they said they don't think it's Lyme, but they're going to put her on a day or two of antibiotics anyway. And if that like improves at 100%, then it is Lyme to continue with the antibiotics. We'll get more. And if she still seems like sore or not recovered from her hips, discontinue the Lyme medication, because that will change it over, like improve her 100% really quick when it comes to her joints. So if we don't see like a switch go off from like she's still kind of sore to like not sore at all, then we need to get her on the anti-inflammatories to help with whatever she did to her hips. And of course they said just try to get her to lose a little bit of weight, which is always hard because we're 4 people in this house and all 4 people have to be on board to get the doggies to lose weight. And often one of us, 2 of us, 3 of us aren't on board, and then, or you know, they try but then they forget and just give them snacks all day again. So I'm not the one that's guilty of that. I really don't feed the dogs much at all during the day when I'm here. And we're going on vacation next week to Disney World with the kids and my parents, and my mother-in-law will be here with the dogs, and we know that she definitely spoils them, but maybe since there's only one of her, that will help. Anyways, I am 72% into accumulation now. Stop it. And I can't decide how I feel about this yet. I am liking, I don't want to tell you too much, but as far as the hauntings go, I'm liking the way those are described. And everything's sort of coming to a head now. And I'm more interested than I was. Yeah, it'll just depend on how it ends and where it ends up going, if I like it or not. I haven't really decided yet. It's sitting just like at a 3 right now. 3, 3.5, and it'll depend on how it ends, if I enjoy it or not. There is a dog in this, and I'm concerned about the dog. He is outside of the home right now, so I'm hoping that he stays there, and I'll let you know, because I know a lot of people like to know that. I have finished up reading Accumulation, and I'm going to give it 3 stars. It never really took off for me. I never really got attached to the characters or really cared too much about what was going on. I was entertained enough to finish, and I think some will like it, but I felt like the pacing was a little off. How everything came together just felt kind of muddled for me. I didn't love the solution or the ending of the book. I thought it was interesting, but at the same time, like, highly disagree with that. I don't think that would be good for a marriage in the long run. I don't know. I can't give anything away, so I can't tell you why I didn't like that, but I didn't like that. It talks about how when a parent is dealing with something, how it affects the whole family, how a mom, when is only concentrating on mothering and family life and is giving up her passions and not feeding her hobbies and, you know, things that she cares about and passionate outside the house, how it can affect the whole family, but then in the guise of haunted house, paranormal stuff. So there is some paranormal stuff actually going on. It's not just all in her head, mental health stuff, which is a little bit of a spoiler, but I would have given this book a lot less of a high rating if that was the case. There's a dog in this book, and if you don't want to know if the dog lives, just another 10 seconds starting now. The dog lives. The dog has no harm come to it. That was important to me, because if something had happened to Go, then it probably would have been even less of a star for me. Anyway, so I think that's what I'm going to go with. 3 stars. I don't know. It's just, I didn't have many feelings about it, so it's pretty boring to talk about. I saw the potential in it. I thought there were some great ideas in there, but I do feel like overall the book was just okay for me. It's not one I need to rush out and get a shelf trophy for, which is sad because the cover is really cool, really cool. And Accumulation is a fitting name for this book, so I understand what that means, what the title is referring to now. So anyways, I am gotta go pick up my daughter shortly, but I'm going to start and at least try out
Take this off my Kindle holder. Bone of My Bone by Joanna Van Veen. I did read Blood on Her Tongue, which I enjoyed. I think at the time I gave it a 3.5, 4, so it wasn't like a huge win for me as much as it seems to be for some other people. But I was on vacation when I read that, so my brain may not have been completely in it. I don't know. But there were aspects of that that I really, really liked. So I gave it 3.5, I think a low 4, something in that ballpark. So I'm excited to see if I like this one. This is another historical horror, and I think it takes place in Germany during the 30 Years War or whatever it's called in the 1600s during plague years and things like that. So this could either be for me or not for me. I really like her writing. We'll see how it goes. It is the next day now. It is Tuesday, the last Tuesday in April. I am reading Bone of My Bone. I'm about 31% in. This is by Joanna Van Veen. I think I have already said that. It's going okay. I like her writing, and so the reading is going smoothly. I'm not sure I'm going to be into this. It's a historical horror in the 1600s during the 30 Years War. And essentially it is about this nun named, oh, I know one is Elspeth and the other is Ursula. So yeah, so Sister Ursula, who's a nun, and Agnes, who is this just war-torn person that has lost a lot of family and is traveling. And because of whatever circumstances, they end up traveling together. And they see this guy who is on the verge of death, and he has this skull, supposedly the skull of a saint, and it's kind of like disco skull, I guess. Like it's dressed up, you know, like a saint. And the man who dies tells them that supposedly he won this skull in a bet, and supposedly if he reunites it with the body, he'll be granted a wish. They don't know if that is true, but the nun Ursula wants to reunite the saint's head with her body so that her remains can be together. So they seek out to do this. At the point I am now, they have developed somewhat of a relationship. I'm assuming that's going to turn sapphic. There's hints of that in here already. There's a lot of religious stuff in here so far. Ursula being a nun, which I'm okay with. I was raised Catholic, so there's a lot of familiarity there. I'm not a religious person now, but I was raised Catholic. The 30 Years War, a lot of it was about religion. So we have the nun who, you know, doesn't want to say she's a nun because bad things could happen to her. We have this other woman, Elspeth, who has seen, you know, witches being burned and grew up Protestant, but is having a crisis of faith because of all the stuff that has happened, this war that's been going on for a generation, basically. Yeah, like I'm finding it interesting. And then there are necromancy stuff in here, undead people. We're also dealing with that. Someone wanting to get the skull back because it's his and he wants it. And the skull speaking to them in dreams and saying kind of humorous things in rhyme. I think they were in rhyme. So that was kind of fun. Anyway, I'm liking it okay so far. I'm going to keep reading it. And we'll see how I feel when I get about halfway. And we'll check back in. I've gotten about 60% into Bone of My Bone. And unfortunately, I have decided to DNF this. I don't know. It's just not for me, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, they have the nun and the other woman, and there's a relationship, but I'm not convinced of that relationship. I don't feel like it was developed. I could get past that, right? But there's a lot of repetitive language in here. I think they say mayhaps a million times. Actually checked, it was like 73 or something like that. And I don't know, just the overall feel of it is just disappointing. 60% sent in. I really didn't care all that much. It's a little whimsical. Like, I feel like it has like nodes of wanting to be sort of like a T. Kingfisher, but like horror. And T. Kingfisher also does horror, but there's like this relationship in there. It almost reminds me of like a Paladin's Grace, but not doing it well. I think that this would have done better if this had been in another world, not in our world, during an actual thing that was happening. The god stuff, I really didn't, it was just too much for me. Is a lot of the character, both of them being like,
we're going to hell and we're unholy and we're used up and bad and I did this and I have to pray. And then you have this Saint Skull, which 60% in, I don't know what's going on with that. They have like these little side, I wouldn't say quests, but side interactions with these revenants that were interesting, but again, not enough to save it for me. I still like, in general, paragraph for paragraph, enjoy her writing most of the time, but overall the story just wasn't working for me. And especially after speaking with a few of my friends who have read this and also didn't enjoy it, I decided to cut my losses and not finish this one, which is sad because I really enjoyed Blood on Her Tongue. I did enjoy this one, so it was kind of sad. If you've been around for any amount of time, you know I like weird, so weird is fine, but it just didn't work for me, so I decided to DNF it. Sad, sad. And I hope that this book finds its readership. If it works for people, I'm very happy for them because I really do like this author. So I hope that it finds the right readership, and I'd rather DNF it than to finish it and give it a bad rating. So I just decided to DNF. That being said, that'll be all the books I read. I Know a Place by Nat Cassidy, gave that 4 stars. As far as short story collections go, it's very solid in my opinion. There's a few that didn't land for me, but for the most part, I mean, I think I had 3 5-stars. That's excellent. So even maybe 4.5 for that one. I read Honey, which I gave a 4. Really enjoyed that one. I think that you got to go into it knowing you're not going to root for this character. I mean, you can if you want, but I think in the end, you're going to be disappointed. She's not very rootable in the end. I read Accumulation, which didn't land for me. I gave it a 3. And then same with But Won't I Miss Me, which I love the concept of, but there are some things in there I didn't love, but I love the concept of it, but it did drag for me. I had a hard time finishing it up towards the end. But if you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. I have Goodreads, StoryGraph, and all that good Instagram and all that stuff linked down below, and I will see you next time.